Welcome to the AI Central Podcast, brought to you by Human Driven AI. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jennifer Jones-Mitchell.
And I'm Dr. David Mitchell.
Let's get into it. Well, first of all, I know that we said on our last episode that we were going to talk about chatbots, and we are. But before we do, I wanted to talk a little bit about ChatGPT, because just last week, ChatGPT celebrated its second birthday. It is now 2 years old.
Wow, that's incredible.
Isn't it?
Seems like it just kicked off the other day.
Right? I can't believe it's been 2 years.
Yeah, but we were early to the game, that's for sure.
We were. In fact, I was looking back at my ChatGPT. I wanted to see what were some of the first things that I asked it to do. The very first thing, I don't know if you guys remember what you first asked, but most people, upon using ChatGPT for the first time, they would ask it things like write a poem or, write a song or something. And I was no different. I asked it to write a story about our backyard birds.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That, yeah.
You remember? Because we were just coming out of the pandemic, and during the pandemic, we spent a lot of time looking at our backyard birds.
That's
and
right,
I'd started naming them and came up with this whole short story around them. And yeah, that was my very first request, was for ChatGPT to expand on that children's story about our birds.
Yeah, I tried to get it to write lyrics in the style of Van Morrison for a song.
Love Van Morrison.
Yeah. And it did pretty well, but it really, parts of it were good, but you had to edit it a lot, but it's definitely improved since then, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's what's so interesting, because when I looked back at that all of my first requests, now granted, I hadn't understood prompt engineering yet, so, the way I was directing it was not very good. Therefore, garbage in, garbage out, the prompts weren't good, so the output wasn't good. But it's still so fascinating to me how it has evolved. So I have a few numbers here. As of this month, as of December 2024, there are now 300 million weekly active users. 300 million every week.
That's incredible.
And those 300 million people send more than 1 billion messages daily through the platform.
Messages?
Well, requests, prompts, directions. Yeah.
I was thinking messaging, so I was like, can you do that?
Not yet, but I'm sure you can soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that tracks for me, because I use ChatGPT for everything now.
Yeah.
I it's become almost a crutch in so many ways. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I've been using it a lot too, for school and for writing blog posts. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, actually, I wrote an entire course using ChatGPT to teach music appreciation at the Atlanta Institute of Music and Media, and we're moving all the classes online, but we wanted to make them asynchronous, where asynchronous is where you don't have to attend classes at a particular time. You can do the course at your own pace. Mm-hmm. So we had to shoot videos, and I had to have verbiage for people to read. And basically what I did was create chapters out of each period of music: Renaissance, Baroque, classical, romantic, etc. But I focused on history, technology, technological innovations, and societal influences on music, kind of the three biggies, So I had it right. So give me the history of the Baroque period, and what are the societal influences? And it would list those. But then I kind of learned to go in, and I found little paragraphs that were interesting. I said, please expand on this.
Yep.
And you expand on it. So you find the things in there that were interesting and expand upon those. So in a matter of a few short weeks, I was able to write an entire textbook for a class, and then shoot all the videos and stuff too. And I had like a script, and I could even ask it for musical examples. What's a good musical example of a technological innovation in violin? And it would give you Corelli's Violin Sonata No. 2 or whatever, And so I was able to put together an entire video class, asynchronous course very quickly, and it's all proprietary, so the students don't have to go out and buy a textbook for the course.
Yeah.
That's a big deal now. They don't want to do it anymore.
Well, sure. I didn't want to do it then.
Yeah, you used to pay $50 or $100 for a textbook.
Absolutely.
And now students refuse to even pay for textbooks, so that's out the window. But Yeah, so it's all asynchronous proprietary stuff that I was able to put together with ChatGPT like that, you know.
It's incredible.
Yeah, you do have to check. I know the history of music pretty well, so I know the dates and everything. But you have to double check it though, because I did find errors where it was saying like one composer did something that was a different one, and the dates are sometimes questionable. But yeah, you just have to watch it, you know.
Yeah, as I always say, AI should create your first draft, not your final draft. Make sure that you always check it. Yeah. Well, I was thinking about the evolution of ChatGPT. I don't know if you remember, but the first iteration, it wouldn't generate images, and it does now.
Yeah.
It wouldn't generate audio, and it does now.
Yeah.
It's really evolved as far as the outputs and everything that it can do. And then, of course, we have the ChatGPT or the GPT store, the custom GPTs. And I remember when those first launched, I was so excited because I was like, oh, it's like an app store for GPTs, and I'll create all these GPTs and then I'll sell them in the app store. And it's funny because I really haven't, I am creating a couple that I'm still training that I do hope to sell and you know, through a subscription kind of service through it. But more than anything, I want to hold on to all these GPTs that I'm creating because they are really just transforming how I work. For any of our listeners, if you don't know, with the ChatGPT 4 Omni, you can design and train your own custom GPTs to achieve all kinds of tasks. You can train it on all of your data. For example, if you're a realtor, and I'm using this example because I just spoke at a real estate expo in Canada, but I was showing them how I created a dummy GPT just to demonstrate to them what you can do. So I created a whole bunch of fake listings and trained this GPT on those listings. But because of the evolution of ChatGPT that it now includes search as well, I was able to, with my fake little listings, I didn't attach any prices to those because I'm not a realtor. I don't know what the prices are. So I asked
especially in Canada.
Yeah, especially in Canada, yeah. So I asked my custom GPT that I'd created for these realtors to look at my listings and compare it to the local comps and create pricing. And when I showed the realtors that it could do that it could pull up those other listings, and it created the pricing, and then I asked it to write some descriptions for each of these properties, but to also look at other comps and tell me what is missing from my descriptions that other realtors are doing. And it was funny because there was this moment in the conference where people were seeing the ChatGPT was sourcing their own listings, like their companies were coming up.
Really?
Yeah, and it was saying, well, this realtor, you know, I'll just say ABC Realty, I don't know, emphasizes this type of thing with the property. And I'm looking at the audience, and people told me afterward that, yeah, it pulled up my listings, and it was,
wow.
Yeah, it's just incredible what it can do.
And you got a lot of interest in what you're doing at that presentation as well.
I did, yeah. I've got lots of great new business, which leads me to the other big thing with ChatGPT that's so exciting now is Search GPT. Because if you may remember when ChatGPT first launched, it really couldn't search the web, and even what it would give you, it was only trained up until a certain point.
That's right, yeah, like 2 years ago.
Yeah, when it first launched in November-ish of 2022, it had only been trained up until the spring of 2021. Wow. So if you would ask it anything about current events, it couldn't answer. And now it can search the web. And in fact, if you ask it for anything, it automatically gives you sources. You don't even have to ask, give me sources. Now it automatically puts it in there.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Isn't it? I mean, it's just evolving. And so once I learned months ago that Search GPT was going to be happening, so I started training all of the AI models on my brand. Because I wanted to optimize AI for search. And I call this AISO, AI Search Optimization. And you basically do it by creating conversational content because that's what AI wants. So transcripts, Q&A, FAQs, anything like that that's conversational. So I just started feeding all of this into search as well as into all the AI models. And it works because I just had a new business call about a month ago, maybe now. And when I asked the usual question, how did you find me? They said, well, I asked ChatGPT, is there anyone in Atlanta who trains people on AI? And it recommended me.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And it's the first time since Google launched that there is a real, legit rival to search.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do use Google, but I don't look below the AI overview very often.
Right?
Yeah, so it really is going to blow up the entire business model for Google because their ad revenue is going to start going away. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, think about the AI overviews. That's the real estate that used to be for paid search.
Yeah.
$40 billion a month. No, I'm sorry, $40 billion annually were spent on paid search in Google. And that's all going to go away now because you've lost that prime real estate. Like you said, people look at the AI overview and that's it. Or they're going to ChatGPT and searching because the numbers vary depending on your sources. But basically by next year, experts are predicting that Google will lose anywhere between 50 to 80% of search activity to AI.
Holy cow, that's incredible. Well, I use it all the time to look up how to do things because I'm learning how to use Premiere Pro for this podcast.
Yeah.
So, a lot of things, I know Pro Tools really well, but a lot of things don't come to me very quickly there. So you're like, how do you do this? And so I'll search Google, and I just use the AI overview and never look any further. And it's so great because you used to have to go to their website and go through the advertisements and try to search and find where is it? This is not what I'm looking for. Then you have to go back and search another one.
Exactly.
And then finally you find it. You're like, man, that was not worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the AI overview really is, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot, but they have to do it because,
Well, it's funny. I don't even use the AI I don't even use Google that much anymore. Oh. I mean, I've realized when I want to find information or, like you said, find out how to do something or get an answer, I just open up ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly. Well, a lot of our instructors at AIM are teaching students to use the AI and to search for those same answers, like for Pro Tools, how to do something, because it's much more concise. It takes you right to the information,
Yeah.
Without all that advertising.
It's incredible. And really just going back to the custom GPTs for a minute. In fact, here, let me just pull it up and give everybody an idea of some of the, like right here, I have Tax Advisor, which helps me. That's a custom GPT that I've trained on my company's taxes, basically, and so it helps me to keep track of everything, but also answer questions and, let me know what I need to, what's a write-off. Write-off. It's a write-off.
Who writes it up?
The write-off people. Sorry, we're quoting Schitt's Creek if you don't know. Then I've got an ad content creator. I've got my human-driven AI biz dev, business development GPT, media pitching GPT. I've got GPTs that are trained on specific reporters that I pitch often, where I have literally trained the custom GPT on that persona, given it the articles and stories that they write about so that it understands the topics, the beat, their style, and I brainstorm with it story ideas to pitch. I've got a translator that I created for a client, different client personas. I've got my lead management GPT. I've got my decision maker. I love this one because it really helps me. As you know, I have a million ideas all the time and not all of them are the best. So I have literally trained a decision maker to help me analyze which of my ideas will deliver the best return in the shortest amount of time, so that I put my time and efforts, in the where there's the greatest ROI.
Yeah.
and it helps me with all kinds of decisions in my business. So, I mean, those are just, I've got a crisis comms GPT. I've got so many different ones just to help me do my daily work. And that doesn't even include all the ones that I'm creating for clients and working with them to develop. Now, I do want to remind everybody, if you are creating a custom GPT, these do still live behind OpenAI's firewall. So you always want to anonymize anything that you're sharing with it. You want to really be careful about sharing any company IP, things like that. This is not a custom LLM, which lives behind your firewall, and you can just go to town on anything you share with it. But still, even though it doesn't have that layer of protection, it is incredible the amount of tasks that you can automate, especially when you train a GPT to really focus on a specific type of task.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting because it's kind of like having experts in that field that you can brainstorm with.
Exactly.
At your disposal.
Yes.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I tried to create one. I created a music theory GPT, and it will answer some questions accurately, but it can't yet draw a musical staff properly.
No.
So I was kind of hoping I could create like flashcards for my students where it would quiz them on notes on the staff and different things that they need to know. But it can't draw a staff, and no matter how I've tried, train it. I've tried to train it. Here's an example. I loaded a picture in there. This is what a staff, 5 lines and 4 spaces, and then it'll come back with like squiggly lines, 10 lines, and then like little lines that are not spaced evenly, and a staff that's wrong, and it's just, it's weird, but it'll probably get there.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, when's the last time you tried?
I actually tried it not too long ago. I still couldn't do it because I was surprised, like you said, now that it could create images. So I went in and tried it, but it still can't quite get that right. But
yeah, and it still struggles, I think, with text on an image.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it still struggles. So but like you said, it'll get there. I mean, the evolution just since the launch 2 years ago is just remarkable to me.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's great, and I've been using it to brainstorm lyrics for songs.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of not as strong at lyric writing as I am music, and it's great because you can, say give it a line of your music, kind of like that, and then tell it, give me the next line, and it'll like give you the next line. Then you can ask it to change it. But or you could give it part of the lyrics and just ask it to finish the rest of it.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. It's an amazing tool.
Yeah, and the addition of search now within ChatGPT really is a game changer, because with my clients, when I'm helping them decide their AI tech stack, it used to be that I would say, okay, if you're going to use ChatGPT, that's great, but you need some kind of other search AI like Perplexity or something, because you want to be able to pull information from the web, and ChatGPT couldn't do that. But now it can.
Wow.
So the more it kind of is able to encompass all of these different tasks, the fewer additional models you're going to have in your tech stack.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. When you told me that, I asked it to go out and search the AIM website, the blog, and I gave it the blog address. Go to this address, read the blogs there, and then suggest 5 topics that will be good for SEO on the blog, and that are related to this blog. And so it gave me like 5 different ones. And then I just go, okay, write a blog post on this one. And it'll do it, and then you can have expand on things. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 tries to kind of get what you're looking for. And then you want to go in and I pretty much have it expand on certain topics. And then I go in and edit it and take things out. And then I delete stuff to make it shorter and more concise and reword certain things. But I also have trained it on my own writing style. So I fed it a bunch of my papers, music theory papers from my doctorate program, put them in there, and I said, study this writing style, and then name it Dr. David Mitchell's, in the voice of Dr. David Mitchell.
Yeah.
So, and it'll do it. It sounds like me,
Exactly. Yeah, I actually have a custom GPT now just for my writing style in that sense. I've got one for RFPs, and because the GPT can search the web now, it will literally, I just give it the quick command and it will immediately find any new RFPs that I would want to participate in. And it will flat out just put together the outline of, okay, here's what they're asking for. Here's what I know about your business. And it will put together basically an RFI for the RFP. It's incredible. And I'm loving the new APIs. The ChatGPT is now integrating with so many APIs of different tools, especially if you have a CRM like Salesforce or even MailChimp, HubSpot. ChatGPT will now plug into that. Wow. So you can really, really automate just your entire lead gen activity with and powered by ChatGPT, working in conjunction with your CRM.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, you're really getting deep into it.
I really am. I swear I'm starting to dream in AI, dream in prompt engineering now. Yeah, it's really incredible to me, and I can't wait to see where it's headed. We will have a new episode coming up where I'm going to talk about some of the predictions and some of the things that I think we need to pay attention to in 2025, especially with the incoming administration and their plans to kind of deregulate AI, because that could potentially cause some things that brands need to especially start preparing for. But I'm going to shift away from ChatGPT if you're good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as I said in our last, at the end of our last episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about chatbots.
Okay.
So let me ask you first, what is your general impression of chatbots? What do you think of them? How often do you use them?
I've used them a few times, and when I'm trying to get things done with a bank or like investments or whatever, and they can be helpful, yeah. But a lot of times, a lot of the things I really needed help with, I needed a person on the phone. So I usually wind up calling somebody, but it's hard to get anybody on the phone because they're all trying to move you to the
chatbot. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't use them super often, but I have, and they have been effective for sure. Like when you're in the bank thing and you're like, where do I find my routing number for something to use?
Right.
The chatbot tells you, go here, and there it is. So yeah, it can be pretty helpful.
I used to hate them, chatbots. I do love them now, only, however, when they are trained well. Quick stat that blows my mind, 99% of millennials, which, let's just call it 100%.
Yeah.
100% of millennials, basically, would prefer to talk to a chatbot than a human being.
Wow, that's incredible.
Isn't it?
I could see why, yeah.
Yeah.
I know our daughter doesn't really like to call anyone on the phone.
Ever, yeah.
Or talk on the phone, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like pulling teeth.
It is, and I think that we're moving more and more toward that. But what I think is really interesting, or I guess annoying, if I see one more poorly trained chatbot, I may just lose it, honestly. So I just wanted to kind of go over a few things as far as what you, as a marketer, as a brand leader, what you can do, what you need to think about when you are putting together your chatbots. The first one is make sure that you train it on your brand's voice. I hate it when there's such a disconnect between the brand's personality and persona and voice, and then you get this chatbot that just sounds nothing like the brand, sounds like a robot, does not sound at all like the personality that you expect from the brand. Does that make sense?
Sure. How would you do that? Train it on the voice?
You just, when you're teaching it, everything from the construct of how to engage, you teach it how to talk. You say, our brand is about being very friendly, or our brand is youthful, or our brand is whatever your brand marketing, brand voice is. train your chatbot on that. You want that same consistent experience that your customer would have talking to anyone in your company or looking at anything in your website or your app. You want that same kind of experience in the brand voice that the chatbot uses. And then, of course, you need to have that deep understanding of products and services so that the chatbot can actually kind of guide you through everything. And can answer questions effectively. I mean, I'm forever using chatbots to try to find information about products and services, and I hate it when it cannot give me what I'm asking for.
Yeah, that's happened to me a few times, and that's when I usually am like, oh, forget this, get on the phone.
Exactly, and call somebody.
Yeah.
The other thing that I just, it's such a pet peeve of mine because it's just bad marketing, the open-ended question. When a chatbot simply says, how can I help you today?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, it's just bad marketing. You can literally train your chatbot to offer up, just going back to the same realtor example, because again, I was just giving a speech to a bunch of realtors. So for example, you would have a chatbot, instead of saying, how can I help you today? Say, how can I help you today? Would you like to buy a home, sell a home, look at homes, make an appointment, guide them through everything?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, if I click buy a home, then, oops, I'm getting a phone call. Turn that off. But if I click buy a home, then qualify that lead. What type of home are you looking for? What area? Guide them through. There's a company called, what are they called? Save Max Canada. And I presented a case study on them because they generated not just thousands of leads through their chatbot in just a few months, but the leads converted. There were conversions associated with it.
Wow.
Because it did not have that open-ended question.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, you're right. You always say have a call to action, right?
Yes. Yes, have that call to action. Guide them through the steps. Each step should offer up not a generic open-ended question, but specific options that they choose. This is how you push that initial inquiry all the way through to conversion.
Wow. And you can help companies do this, right?
Yes, I can. And I want to, because it's driving me crazy when I see these terribly designed chatbots.
Yeah.
And you really want to have, with those kind of goal-oriented conversations, you want to think through the troubleshooting. What are the most common problems that people are asking? And train your chatbot to make those decisions. You want to think through all of the steps, and you want to create a decision tree that follows that natural progression that your customer would have. So if they're asking about specific products and you have multiple versions of that product, then give them the choice to choose from the chatbot which product they're interested in or which service they're interested in. You want to guide them through all of that. And you do it simply by training with the right data sets. Now, it's not just about conversions, though, and it's not even just about customer service. When you're training your chatbot, you also have to put in guardrails. Because if somebody can abuse or misuse a chatbot, they're gonna. It can be something seemingly innocuous, like trying to make the chatbot talk like a pirate, or something silly like that.
Right.
But it could also be something where somebody could ask the chatbot questions and it could reveal proprietary IP information. So you need to make sure you bake in all the guardrails of what the chatbot can and cannot do. And include that in your decision tree, because trust me, if there's a bad actor, if there's someone who can have fun with your bot, they're gonna.
Yeah, that's human nature, I guess. I don't know.
Exactly. So yeah, I think there's just a lot that can be done with chatbots to really drive those conversions, to provide real customer experiences that enhance your brand, especially when you train it on your brand's voice, your products, your services, and move them through that funnel so that that's the other thing with a chatbot. Don't you hate it when you have to constantly say, this is what I'm looking for, and it doesn't understand, and you keep having to tell it over and over and trying to figure out new ways. Yeah, that is a poorly trained chatbot.
Yeah, I've run into those. That's probably why I don't use it very often.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely. If somebody can get a bot to say the wrong thing, they're going to do it, whether just for fun or for nefarious reasons, you know. It's a real risk. So you need to make sure that you train your bot to, you know, redirect the conversation if they're trying to get it to do something it's not trained to do.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that it is trained not to share harmful information or even private proprietary information, as I said, and just really teach it those boundaries so that it really serves that purpose of customer experience, customer service, and even sales to drive those conversions. I think we're going to see a real evolution of chatbots as the machines get smarter, and more importantly, as the people who are training the machines get smarter and really understand how to structure the right data sets around it.
And that's going to be a whole new job for folks too, right?
Training.
Oh,
absolutely.
Probably already is.
It really is, but we're going to see so many new jobs like that around AI. I mean, there's no question there'll be job losses, but there are going to be new jobs created just around understanding how to structure the right data, how to train these machines, not just chatbots, but again, custom LLMs, custom GPTs, and even just using the models in general. I mean, it's a whole new world, my friend.
It's true. Yeah, they were just talking about that on NPR the other day. They were talking about how so many new jobs are going to be created. They were talking about writing jobs and how some of those will go away, but people that know how to use Chat GPT to write and enhance their writing will actually be more employable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of...
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's like I always say, AI won't take your job. Someone who knows how to use AI will. It's the truth. It really is. So,
that's true.
Yeah, hopefully everyone's going to keep boning up on it. And I think we've kind of talked once again, the chatbot, we've chatted it to death here.
Okay.
So we'll wrap up, but please join us for our next episode. I'm going to get into some of my predictions around AI for 2025. And we're also going to talk about some of the implications of the incoming administration's plans around deregulating AI and what brands need to do to protect themselves as well as their global partnerships around this as well. So be sure to tune in for that. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.